Hey guys, Kosher Kush 420, bringing you a meal of the day. Gonna do some mushroom risotto. So we're gonna start off with some assorted mushrooms. We got some shiitakes, creminis, and oyster mushrooms. We're gonna cook off some shallots. We're gonna take arboreal rice. We're gonna make all that into some delicious risotto, as well as some cream, some butter, some mascarpone, and some Parmesan cheese. So first we're going to start off by prepping our mushrooms. So we're going to start off with the shiitakes. The stems on these are really chewy and rubbery, which are not anything you ever want to eat. So we're going to cut those off right at the base of the cap, right where the stem comes off. And then we're just going to slice those up about 1/4 of an inch thick. We're going to do that to the rest of all of those sitting there. Next we got our king oyster mushrooms. Down at the base is also pretty rubbery and tough and not really anything you want to eat. So we're going to cut those off and then slice these up about 1/4 of an inch thick. You can see where they come together like that, just about there is where you're going to cut that off. You can kind of feel it with your hands where it transitions from that rubbery part to a softer part of the mushroom stem. And that's essentially where you want to make your cut. Next we're going to take our creminis, which are like little baby portobellos, and then we're going to slice those up. The stems on these are okay. Next we've got some shallots. We're just going to take the top off, take the bottom off. And then we're going to take off the outer layer by cutting it in half. And just peeling off that little papery skin. And we're going to chop these up nice and fine. So first we're going to make a couple little cuts in one direction and then just slice through it in the other direction. When you get near the end, just kind of chop up the rest by hand. Always clean as you go. You never want a dirty workstation. So next we've got our little rondeau kind of pan here. It's an elevated flat sides, not curved like a saute pan. So we're going to start to sweat off our shallots. You just want to start to bring out that shallot flavor. You're not really looking to get any caramelization or color on it. You're just trying to sweat those off and get them a little soft. When making risotto, you always use arboreal rice, not a jasmine or any other kind of rice that you may think of. Arboreal rice is risotto rice. So I'm zooming in to kind of show you what you're looking for. You can see as some of the kernels and rice gets cooked, you'll see it gets translucent with a white little center to it. You're going to try and saute all the rice so majority of that gets that look to it. keep moving it around, make sure everything's cooking evenly, and all of your rice is getting that chance to try and get that translucent white center to it. Alright, so next we've got some mushroom stock that we heated up in a small sauce pot off camera, and we're just ladling in a good amount to get us started. You never want to do too much, it's just a little bit at a time that you cook, about a cup or so. So you're not boiling away the rice, you're just going to kind of slowly cook and keep adding liquid over and over again as it cooks down and reduces to nothing and keeps cooking into that rice. So this is the labor intensive part about cooking risotto. You want to make sure that you keep it moving, so therefore the rice is cooking evenly, and you want to make sure you're not burning anything on the bottom and it's not settling and sticking. So as the liquid, like I said, as the liquid cooks down and reduces, your rice will start to swell, and you'll be cooking it a little bit more and more, and you just keep adding liquid. So right here we're at a point, most of our liquid is gone. We're going to start to ladle in some more and keep doing the same thing we were doing before. Just rinse and repeat until all of your mushroom broth in the little pot has been used up. Thing to keep in mind when cooking risotto, the liquid to rice ratio is a 3-to-1. So if you're cooking 1 cup of rice, you're cooking 3 cups of liquid into that rice. So we've cooked most of our liquid away. We get to the point where we can start to use some more. So we're going to start to ladle in some more again. You just want to keep doing this until your rice is nice and al dente, which is Italian. It means firm to the tooth with some resistance, but it's not crunchy and gritty. So, like I said, cooking, adding, cooking, adding. Just keep doing that until it's all gone. Alright, so our rice is cooked. Most of that liquid is all essentially cooked away. We're going to check our rice and see if it's crunchy still, or if it's cooked enough. And if it's not crunchy, then we're just going to set it off to the side. If it is still crunchy, we may need to add a little more liquid and keep cooking it just a little bit longer. But I'm essentially par cooking this, so it's not crunchy. The rice is essentially cooked, so we have set this off to the side, and what we're doing now is we're just going to start to make our mushrooms ready for our risotto. I like to do this separately to try and build all of that mushroom flavor and get a good caramelization on my mushrooms. So you'll see it looks like a lot in the pan right now, but as it cooks down it will start to shrink and all those mushrooms will start to shrivel up. Mushrooms are like sponges and they just soak up all of that moisture when they're starting to cook. So they're going to take quite a bit of the oil to get everything cooking. Make sure you give everything a good toss so stuff gets coated evenly and starts to cook as well. What we're really looking for is to get that nice deep dark caramelization on all of our mushrooms. and really kind of build that earthy flavor that mushrooms can bring. Ideally, you don't want to overcrowd your pan so much, but I do not have a big enough pan. So this may take a little longer than what would be expected. You also want to make sure that your pan is nice and hot. So we're going to skip ahead a little bit in time. We've gone through, our mushrooms are really starting to sweat and cook down now. Starting to see some of that caramelization happening. Our mushrooms are still cooking down a bit more. And we're just going to keep things moving every now and then. Give it some time to let that caramelization build. Make sure you're not burning anything. So we're getting there. We're going to let it keep cooking. Really kind of want to get more caramelization on our oyster mushrooms. Now we're going to season it with a little bit of salt, pepper, and garlic powder. The Kosher Kush Trio. Give it a good toss, make sure all that spices and seasoning gets coated on everything. And I see how like shiny and everything is, but the pan is super dry. So like I said, mushrooms are just sponges. They just soak up any and all moisture. So next we're going to take some cream and we're going to reduce that by half. Kind of build a nice little cream sauce and develop and infuse that cream with the mushroom flavor. And this gives a good base to reconstitute our risotto that has been sitting off to the side. So you can see our cream has thickened up. Our risotto is also kind of thickened up as it sat there. It's not all creamy, just kind of looks like a big pile of wet rice. So what you want is a nice creamy risotto. So that's partly why we start with this cream base and why we're going to add in some butter and some mascarpone cheese. So we're just getting all this mixed together. We're getting our rice reconstituted. We're getting it nice and loose in the cream. We're going to throw in some butter. Let that kind of melt down. You can add in some mascarpone cheese. Be careful when trying to flip creamy stuff like this. You don't want it to go everywhere. It's just a little flick of the wrist and just let it kind of wave back off the edge of the pan. So you can see our risotto is looking all nice and creamy again. We're going to finish it off with some Parmesan cheese. Then we're going to add in some seasoning. You could throw in some parsley to give it a little green. But you see it kind of rests itself back down in the pan, that's what you're kind of looking for. So just scoop some into a dish, and then you're essentially ready to go. There's a nice creamy mushroom risotto for you. You can serve that with chicken or a steak or some shrimp, or just eat it by itself. If you like what you see, check out the show. We do 7-Eleven Monday through Friday on Facebook, or you check out my cooking videos on YouTube at kosherkush_420. Much love, y'all. Have a good night.